screen changes to us as a live shot, then we know we're on.
Oh my gosh, Joanne, that building is just like, it's just spring bulb. That thing is just
Okay.
growing. Yes, it is.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Owatonna School Board. This is Monday, January 22nd. It's 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Eric, our attendance tonight?
Missing Deborah Brandel.
Okay, let's hope she shows up. Let's start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up tonight would be to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any conversation, any discussion on this? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstead. Item number 4 is Mission Moment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, tonight we will be lifting up 3 really critical staff members in our school district. Those that probably go sometimes without being recognized, but really are the glue that hold our systems together across the district. The 3 people I'd like to recognize tonight are Gwen Vogt, Kurt Matichek, and David Purdy. Gwen is our offset operator. For those that don't know what that is, it means that she is responsible for making a whole lot of copies and preparing materials for our teaching staff and has done so for the district for over 30 years. Gwen takes a lot of pride in the work she does to prepare printed learning materials for classrooms and staff. She is beyond organized and constantly shuffling orders to make sure all staff get their materials by the requested deadline. Kurt Matichek is our mail courier. Kurt has also worked in the district for over 30 years. He works tirelessly to receive packages of staff supply orders and to transport mail throughout the district. No matter what the temperature, the weather, or the number of Amazon orders awaiting him at the post office, he always has a smile on his face. And lastly, David Purdy, our nutrition services courier. David has worked for the district for the past 12 years. He is known to be dependable and hardworking. He's always thinking of ways to improve, and he makes prompt deliveries every day in any kind of weather, all while keeping his sense of humor intact. Without Dave, most of our schools would not have food to serve as they don't receive food directly from our vendors. He keeps the quote-unquote wheels of production moving, the pun is intended, although also through his work we are able to share food between all of the schools, which reduces the expenses to our school district and community. David exemplifies the ability to be flexible, as no day or delivery is ever the same. Gwen, Kurt, and David are fantastic employees and are even better people. We are grateful for their hard work behind the scenes to keep the district running smoothly. We have Gwen with us tonight, and I'd like to recognize her with a hand. I think at times we see teachers, administrators, maybe other support staff, but these are 3 fantastic support folks in our school district that we just simply couldn't do the work we do without their help. So Gwen, thank you.
Thank you. Gwen, thank you very much. We're glad you're here, and we certainly appreciate your work. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 5, which would be public forum. Sarah, do we have any cards for public forum tonight? We do not. We'll move on. Item 6 tonight would be reports. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Elstead for some introductions.
Yes, tonight, as I indicated to you in my notes or briefing for this meeting tonight, we're going to be having Chris Pica, our Director of Human Resources, present to you on a few different topics. The first one, though, is something that I'm particularly proud of the work that Chris has done with this, and she'll introduce a lot more information for you. But one of the things that we are constantly looking for is what strategy would be appropriate for our school district to make sure that we not only are able to recruit but retain quality teaching staff. And so Chris has been a leader in the state of Minnesota, really trying to identify those strategies that may be out there that other districts either aren't choosing to do or maybe just feel like they may not have the time to pursue. Chris makes that time. And so tonight I'm happy to introduce Chris Pica, our Director of Human Resources, as she presents her topics tonight from the HR office. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks for that intro. I don't know if I deserve that, but thank you.
members of the board, Superintendent Elstead. I'm here to talk about, it's really a partnership with Mankato State for most of the information that I'll be sharing with you. But also we are starting an apprentice program with MSU will be the education provider, the higher ed provider, along with Minneapolis Public Schools. So it's going to be a very unique partnership with having more of an urban school district along with, I don't always look at us as super rural, kind of suburban, rural, if you could think of a word in between. But it's been very eye-opening when you look at, I just, like, they have so many resources, and then we have a few of us at the table, but it's, they're willing to share everything, and it's a really good learning opportunity for me. So, all right. So the reason why, as part of my role, I am a recruiter. I didn't know when I started working for schools that I would actually start now recruiting, kids in high school. We may even get to starting in middle school just to get, we're at a critical time in the nation, I think, just trying to get people to go into teaching or into the education field at all. So, what's our why? Why are we starting some of these Grow Your Own programs? And the apprentice program is, you have to look at what are the external messages our students are hearing and seeing about the teaching profession, and what are the internal messages students are hearing, seeing, and feeling. Like, what are we telling students ourselves within our own school districts about going into teaching? I think Owatonna is, we're part of a consortium with some southern Minnesota schools, and we're offering the KSP 150 course, and we offer 2 courses where some of even the larger districts like Mankato and Faribault barely get 1 class filled. So we are doing a great job, our counselors, Katie Kudron, and our high school administrators, on getting the word out and really looking at the career of teaching. But right now, the social media isn't really, generous to teachers, and we really have to change that narrative. Teaching, we wouldn't be anywhere in this world without great teachers and without education. Let's see. So some of the programs I'll be talking to you about is, you may have heard me talk about a couple months ago, but one is Teachers of Tomorrow, and that's a Grow Your Own program for students, and we're trying to reach students grades 10 through 12. And it's an external teacher prep program. Hopefully that would lead into a teacher program where they can obtain a Tier 3 license. And as we talk about these things, a lot of the programs they're really collaborative, or they can be cohesive, and once a student gets through the Teachers of Tomorrow program, they can apply for the Grow Your Own Adult pathway, where they could attend a university for up to 4 years, basically free, tuition free. It's up to $10,000 a year, so at least would pay for the tuition. But then if you get into the teacher apprentice program, you could go to college for 2 years and then spend the rest doing an on-the-job program, basically through the teacher apprentice, again, free, and you'd be paid at the same time that you're working through those programs. So with the Teachers of Tomorrow program and the Teaching Fellows program, that's where we're working with our partners through Mankato, and then, now we have 7 districts now, part of the consortium, working through those processes. And again, for our strategic direction, we're trying to embed our strategic direction in when we write the grants on what we want the programs to look like, to make sure that we're hitting on all, especially the equity piece and the high quality teaching and learning pieces. Just to show you where we have obtained our money, or what monies we have gathered to help with the career of teaching. It started in 2009, and this is really with our consortium working with Mankato. And you see all the grants that we have received, up to $8 million, almost $700,000. So we're working hard writing the grants. Not my favorite part of the process, but that's what's offered out there, and that's what we'll do. Anything, we have to do anything and everything to obtain the funds so we can get teachers into the program, or at least get students interested in the area of teaching.
Okay, Chris, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so this grant funding, you mentioned that individuals can get up to $10,000 per year. Is that where the grant dollars go?
For the adult pathway, that's where the
Adult pathway.
majority of the
Okay.
money will go.
Okay, so it comes to us and then we cover that
Yes.
tuition?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're the fiscal we're part of that group, and we're the fiscal host.
Okay,
So once we receive the invoices from the universities, then it's like a scholarship, we'll cut the check.
and is there any strings attached that they come back and teach with us, or they have to stay with us? Or
No.
they just work it through our program?
Yeah, they'll work it through, I mean, we hope that they come through us. There isn't anything in the grant that says even though we're partnering with Mankato, that they have to go to Mankato or that they have to return, because some of these students might not be Owatonna, the adults. It could, because the adult pathway is not only open to students, it's open to community members within, like, Owatonna.
Okay,
Anyone that wants to go get a teaching degree, maybe it's a second career, and they want to go obtain a teaching degree, they'll have some good funding to help them, go get through that. This is just illustrating where we're at with our educators of color and indigenous. A lot of the grants through the Minnesota Department of Ed really have a heavy focus on trying to get or reach students or adults, people of color. And you can see where we're at, we're a little bit behind. But when you look at the point spread, even in Minneapolis, they have, based on their student, I don't know if, it looks like purple to me, but I don't know what it is on the slides. But when you look at the purple, that's how many students of color each district has, and then the orange is what we have. So we have a ways to go to try and recruit staff of color.
Chris, can you clarify, what does MEP stand for?
I can't remember what, it's something ed
It's the
partnership.
Minnesota Educator Partnership. So what that is there are 7 partner districts: Owatonna, Faribault, Mankato, Tri-City United, Waseca. I'm getting close.
LeSueur Henderson,
LeSueur Henderson, thank you, and
Adelia now.
Medelia Truman. So all located south central. We're the farthest, us and Faribault are the farthest east, and going all the way over to Medelia that way.
Yeah, we work with Terry Preisler, and she works tirelessly to work with us through all of the, and just try to make sure that we're working as hard as we can to get these programs up and running. For the Grow Your Own grant for the secondary student pathway, which is called Teachers of Tomorrow, these are some of the things that the grant will cover, encouraging secondary students to pursue teaching, especially students of color. And then some of the proposed uses for the funds is support teacher clubs. I believe we have one teacher club or service learning opportunities. One question I had into Terry Preisler is for our YSL, a lot of the students, partner with schools. So if they had made a request or would need some funding, I think that would qualify for some of the grant funding. Provide direct support for students of color and PSEO, offer scholarships to graduating seniors, which I believe it's up to about $3,600 that they can apply, a graduating senior could apply for and receive as a scholarship through this program. The grant was awarded at $750,000 over 4 years. And if we don't use it all, typically they'll let you carry it over until all of it is expended. Our goal is 100 students of color or indigenous across the districts. We're a little bit behind in that, so we have to do a lot more promotion within our districts. So hopefully we can, maybe even through the school board meeting, because I'm sure they're all watching on YouTube, the school board meetings. So, and it's, again, we were originally going to offer it to juniors and seniors, but we said that we really have to go deeper and offer it to sophomores. And maybe the following year we might offer it even to younger students. And then it's a rolling application. A student can apply at any time for any funding for any of these programs.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, who would students reach out to if they are interested in the program?
The school counselors are well aware, especially Tammy Langlois and Amy, I know, Lageson,
Yeah, Amy Longus.
and Corey Kath, is well aware too. Otherwise, they can always call me as well.
And then my second question is, what does this look like as a time commitment? Does it look like a credit for one of your classes, like taking out a credit and you go and teach somewhere? What does the program look like in action for students who want to do it?
Well, typically this would include the class, the 150, KSP 150 class. And so you'd have to meet the requirements of all of those classes and whatever, I'm assuming that's a 1 credit class. And then for some of these other, another component is they could do a summer teaching camp for a week that would be fully paid. I know that Mankato is hosting, I believe it's next week, a day, I would say it's kind of like conferences of sessions on what it's like to be a teacher. It would pay for busing or if there's any fees attached to that, those kinds of things. So it's a really easy application, and we would hire, once we have students, we have a navigator that would help students, navigate through all of this, especially if they need help with the to apply for a college, on a college application or the FAFSA. I think that sometimes is a barrier for students. So we would have a navigator to help any student with any of those, or to even connect with universities, college visits. We pay for up to 6 college visits if they wanted, for their transportation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I shouldn't say we, I should say the grant does. And again, I talked about a navigator, and these are the things that a navigator would help with. The one thing that we really want the navigator to do that we think is critical is to meet with families and to walk them through. A lot of them may be first generation and they haven't, attended a college. They don't know how to access any of the information, and walk them through all of that. Again, assist with the FAFSA, the college visits, and the applications. I think those are some of the bigger barriers for students. I know that when I was decades ago, I didn't have anyone. Schools really didn't. I don't think we had a school counselor. But my parents didn't go to college, so to try to navigate that. I did it, but it would have been nice to have, I would say, kind of a cheerleader in your corner to help you, give you some options. Again, 6 group college visits, and with the 6 college visits, I don't think it's limited to just the students that are interested in this program. As long as we're hosting a bus, any kids that sign up could, attend a college visit. And then a summer academy. And then we do have $288,000 for those post-secondary costs for the scholars if they want to apply for that. I believe it's $3,600. For the adult pathway or the teacher fellows, again, it's another $750,000 grant over 5 years. Our goal is 15. I believe we have 2 now in the program. We would like to see 15 a year. It might be some of the same people roll over. And it can be from any of the communities that we serve. Employees, could be employees, community members. And we already passed our first round of applications, so our next round will be, we want the applications in by March 1st of '24, so that the student or adult could start either in the summer if they wanted a summer program or in the fall going forward.
Chris, I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
Are you getting applicants as time goes on? I know we have more work to do, but do you have current applicants?
Yeah, we have 2 so far that I know that, I think we just received a tuition bill for this next semester that I know Sarah Cramlett was working on. Again, $10,000 per year, so $5,000. They can use it, if they want to use some of the $10,000 for daycare costs or things like that, they can, we might be part of their last dollar You know, they might have a lot of other grants or scholarships available. Choice with support, that means that they don't have to attend Mankato, they could attend any Pellsby-approved university. We do have a navigator, we have hired an adult navigator to help the students in the same manner, helping them fill out the application process, how to connect with some of the, maybe they're having some problems, you know, navigating the homework, or to help connect with a professor, or study groups or things like that. Just having, you know, helping them, again, being a cheerleader, and to walk them through, especially if English is not their first language. I think it's really helpful to make those connections with the university. I think with the couple students that we've been working with, I think I don't think the FAFSA was such a barrier, but just how tuition works, and how does it come to me? Does it, you know, go directly to the university, and, you know, walking them through that piece.
Another quick clarification. I know this is a Grow Your Own program, but for the students who enter this program, do they have to come back and teach for someone in the district? Or you might have already clarified this.
Yeah, no, we have not put any strings
Okay.
on that. Have I done that before in a different district? Yeah, I've done that before, but legally, it would be really hard to, you know, push that. I would love that kind of commitment. But we would offer them as they go through the program, you know, offer them, you know, we'll interview you for sure. We'll make you part of the process. And then each adult, wherever they're attending, they'll get a mentor also, wherever they're working. So the grants, actions, and activities, you know, extensive outreach, biweekly navigation support. I'm hoping to have an introduction to early childhood concurrent enrollment course sometime. I'd like to have the intro to, is it inclusion, I think is what it's called now at MSU.
SPED
to get
108.
Yeah, just, we really need to build on the career and education, and you know, maybe someone can have an AA degree by the time they leave, and then just have their 2 years left. Oh, the one addition that we haven't made known too much out there are the addition of stipends for peer tutoring. We just got that added to the grant this past summer. Gosh, has it been summer already? Fall? I guess it was fall, we learned. And so students that are in our KSP 150 course, or had been in our KSP 150 course, can get paid for peer tutoring now. So they would just run that through our counseling department. I don't recall what the hourly rate is, but it was I think each year we can spend up to $58,000. And when I say we, it's the MEP group. So it's good money, I think, for, you know, and then people can know if they really want to teach. I mean, working through that, so. Let's see, I don't think I need to walk through that. Then the last thing I want to talk about is the teacher apprenticeship partnership. Again, it's a partnership with Minneapolis Public Schools, Owatonna, and Mankato State University. Teacher apprenticeships are new to Minnesota. I think they're new. I believe Tennessee was probably one of the first states. I don't know how long they've been running, but it's very new to Minnesota. And it's a really different way of thinking about a non-traditional way to become a teacher. And it's really been eye-opening for all of us, you know, working through we've had a lot of planning meetings, because the education has to be different because it's job embedded. People aren't going to the university, taking their courses, and then, you know, going back to their jobs, and then, you know, going back to their coursework. This has to be job embedded, and it's a gradual release. So it's basically, I would call it a 2-year student-teacher program, but it's paid. And as they learn and grow in the program, we haven't decided whether it'll be, you know, an increase of pay every semester, you know, at the end of each year. It's planned to be a 2-year program, starting in the fall of 2024. MSU wants applications in by March. I mean, we have a really tight timeline and to work out all these processes. And to work with a district like Minneapolis, which has, I would say, a lot more hoops to jump through than, we do. So our programs will have a base of being the same, but the specifics will be very different, just based on their district and, our district and the numbers. We're committed to have 5. MSU needs to run a class no smaller than 25. I'm sure, just for the resources. Everything's online. What we're planning to do is have a 5-day week, 4 days of which they'll be in the classroom, learning from, they will no longer be mentored, they will be called journey workers, and then 1 day of coursework. So most of the things that they, some of the parameters for the apprenticeship is that it has to be all job embedded, and it's very little work outside the day, and they get paid. So those are really the basics. What MSU has had to work hard on is there's a new set of standards of effective practice, which you guys don't need to know. I mean, I know what they are, but it's really what they need to embed into their curriculum. And MSU has done a really, we spent 1 full session on deciding how they're going to set up their curriculum for those 2 years, what makes the most sense. And what they did is they grouped courses that are very similar in nature. So even though you might have 3 classes that are 9 credits, they're so similar, and maybe one paper that you write might be good if you incorporate all 3, depending. I've taken a lot of, and I'm sorry, I should say the program we're running is the ABS Special Education Program. So at the table, once they started getting into the curricular pieces, I made sure Sarah Knudsen and Sherry Mensing and Ann Michelson were a part of the group, because curriculum is not my background. And then how are we going to get that coursework put together? Because special education is such a high need area with that. So now I don't remember where it was at, but anyways, the curriculum. And so I've probably taken about 30 credits of special ed. And a lot of times when I was taking it, I'm going, well, this course is almost like this course, even though I might have taken it 2 years apart. So they did a really good job of putting that together. The apprentices will also have, the journey workers will probably have another mentor. We're hoping to work through Sarah Knudsen's, the special ed department, to really help with that kind of that level of organizing and making sure that everyone's okay. Our program, we're hoping to have 3 semesters, 1 in elementary, 1 time in middle school, 1 time in high school, and then for their 4th semester to pick whatever they maybe feel they're strongest or their interest they're interested in. I'm not sure, that's where we in Minneapolis might differ. They may let them pick just whatever, they might just want elementary, so we want a broad education for them, so they really know this is, something that they might like. And when you work in, a district our size, you may not always be able to stay at elementary, so we want you to at least have some basic, knowledge in the other grade level areas.
As a question of clarification, or just as a point of clarification, you mentioned that students who have taken KSB 150 Intro to Education would be able to receive certain grants for pursuing an education-based degree?
If they apply for it, yep.
Absolutely. And so what would that process look like? So if I were to contact a counselor, would that be my direct source of information, or are there any other ways that I can reach
You can contact me. There has been stuff, or information, not stuff, and there is a document with a QR code that links directly to the application process for that. And I don't know if there's a point person specifically at MSU, but that might not be the university you intend to go to. But counselors have information, I have information.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just for clarity for the board, because we love a good acronym in education, ABS stands for Academic and Behavior Strategist.
It's broad.
KSP stands for what?
It is something about knowledge and skills.
Skills, and I don't know what the
and
P is.
proficiency.
Oh.
It's how they number courses at MSU Mankato in the education program.
And then another thing for the for the apprenticeship stuff, I know that typically and the concurrent enrollment in like MSU is that we're like switching between that this is kind of an open program for everyone, not just like students and stuff, like open to other people in the community. So,
For the adult pathway.
right. So is the apprenticeship open to like as a sophomore, if you take this course, are you going to be doing apprenticeships, or is that only adult pathway stuff?
No, apprenticeship is for anyone that has 53 credits, or an AA degree to move forward through that. So you could attend college. Let's say you get your AA degree, whether it's in with an emphasis on teaching or it's just a regular AA. You would have the required courses, and you would say, you know what, I know I want to be a teacher, and then you would enter into the apprenticeship program.
Got it. And then the classes at MSU, is that a concurrent enrollment that like a student might take like their senior year after being in the program for a while, or is that also an adult pathway thing?
For the KSP 150 concurrent class?
The classes at MSU or that you
There's
take
only
online, the online
Those
one?
concurrent credits are currently being offered to students, so you could, as a senior, you could register for that course and get
Awesome.
college credit.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And then I would add, Aaron, we're taking barriers out of the way, so I've spoken earlier to the board about the Owatonna Opportunity Scholarship. You happen to be the class of 2025. And so with your class and beyond, you could get an AA degree delivered by the Owatonna Opportunity, and then you could apply to be part of the adult pathway. So we're trying to take barriers out of the way to provide those opportunities for any of our students that feel like maybe college or that post-secondary experience wasn't an opportunity for them.
And I already went through, these are the parts of the application process. This is in partnership with the apprentice program is not just a PELSB or MDE sponsored program. We're really, the most important entity really is the Department of Labor and Industry, because they house the apprentice program. So we have to file an application, and we're meeting next week on starting to write that application. That has to be in, I don't think till March, but the sooner we get it in, I mean, we want to know if it's accepted. And I think what they look at most of for the application is that, it's job embedded, it is job embedded. We are going to be doing gradually release. They're getting paid. And we have journey workers working, which would be our teacher mentors. But they really want, again, focus on, trying to get in staff of color as well. I don't think we're going to put a number on that, because we need teachers. And so we'll put an emphasis on that, but people that are interested, especially in special education. And then eventually, I think the apprenticeship is the world of the future, and you may be seeing apprenticeship programs for elementary education, secondary education, especially your tech ed. I know we are going to have a conversation with a school that just contacted us last week that has a huge interest in tech ed and how we could run an apprenticeship program through tech ed, which would be a little bit harder than, online. I don't know how that would work, but just using we have great industry here, and I think that'd be a great program to run here.
And as clarification, out of the range of like apprenticeships, you were mentioned, just to return to like KSP 150 and Intro to Education, you mentioned that the program, so the grant that's provided to students that take KSP 150 Intro to Education is only forwarded to universities that are accepted through like a conditioned like
Through
status.
PELSB.
Okay, could you expand on that, because I'm still unable to understand what.
Well, Pellsby, well, I'm not saying, they have, I haven't looked at the list, but they have an entire list of approved universities through Pellsby, and that you'd have to take a look depending on what university that you're looking at.
Professional Educator Licensing and Support Board.
Yep, licensing, yep. Yeah, if you just Google Pellsby, you'll be able to find the website.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah.
I would add one other thing with apprenticeships I think that's important to recognize. Education is one of the only professions that doesn't offer a legitimate apprenticeship type program. If you think about other vocations, there are other paid opportunities. So if you think about particularly some of our skilled trades, electrician, HVAC, plumbing, all of those skills typically have some sort of apprenticeship program that lead them from their apprenticeship status to journey person, leading up to master. And this is a very similar approach in education. Medicine has the very same, they have an apprenticeship program that has paid internships as well. So this is very much and very similar to what we've seen in other vocations.
Yeah, when you complete the program, you'll not only get a teaching license, but you'll get this apprentice certification from the Department of Labor and Industry that you can frame. That's it.
Okay, Chris, I have a question.
Yes.
So where does the partnership with Minneapolis come in? Like, do we have students that can go there and teach? Do they have students that can come here and teach? Like, what is?
Well, the partnership comes in the entire planning and the application process, and our cohort will be, our cohort of staff, which we're hoping to draw from our paraprofessionals and education assistants, will be attending with their
So they'll
courses.
be in the same class?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then the date, I think we'll have a similar day of, they'll be doing their coursework, so there'll be tons of time for collaboration, online and
Yep.
things like
I
that.
do want to add one other thing in this is, so you cannot draw a whole lot of connections between the Minneapolis Public Schools and Owatonna Public Schools, other than Chris and I and a few others in the district attended an information session that was hosted by the Department of Labor and Industry last spring. And there were approximately 60 school districts in the room. Only 2 of them were committed to doing the work to do this. And so hats off to Chris, because we had a conversation on the way home from the meeting, and I said, Chris, what do you think? And she said, well, we've got to continue to try everything we can. So Chris has done a whole lot of work and has been a leader. And I think Minneapolis is looking at Chris going, yeah, we have a whole bunch of people. We just don't have someone like her that's willing and able to do this work because of her experience. So.
Awesome, cool, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just two, sure, I think, quick clarifying questions. So the whole program is specifically for special education?
The apprentice program.
That's just the apprentice program?
Yes.
Specific, got it. And then people of color are encouraged to apply, but it's open to anybody?
The
Is that
apprentice
correct?
program is, yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I appreciate those questions. So the second program, the adult one, is that also limited?
Right
to-
now, it's written just for students of color.
Okay.
That's the way the grant was written.
Yes.
Yeah, state
Well, that was required by the state.
Right.
Anybody else? Chris, thank you.
Yep.
Item 7 tonight would be just general information. Pardon me, the enrollment report was made a part of your packet. Anybody have any questions with regard to the enrollment report? Okay, hearing none. Let's move on. Item 8 tonight would be no action required. This is all board forum items. Jace, do you mind if I start down on your end? Anything for board forum tonight?
So OHS Magnet just released their publication or their print. As a promise I made prior, I was going to provide you our print, but unfortunately I forgot to. So maybe a testament about my ability to remember. Besides that, a new semester is starting, and so I'm excited to end my year off with two finalizing classes. So that's my board.
Finals are done. Let's go. I've got a couple things here. So mock trial had its first competition against Watertown Mayor. Owatonna Blue lost, which is like our JV team, and then Owatonna White won. So that was cool. And then I've got a meeting with CAF to discuss Compass and career pathways tomorrow. So that'll be great. And then we have a speech mock meet Saturday. And then solo and ensemble, which is a whole like choir, band, and orchestra, all get to go perform any sort of classical piece they want to at a competition. You get rated and stuff like that. It's a cool thing. You get to interact with other schools. So that happened on Saturday. Believe that's it. So looking forward to a next busy semester as a bunch of other academic activities start to open up, because sports are always going, but this is really when those academic activities really start to go into full swing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just had some thoughts in thinking about the last few meetings, and I just wanted to throw this out there as something to consider, maybe something to talk about at a future meeting. This is to pass down. And I just have a graph that I just made a copy for everybody to take a peek at. And so thinking about November being the world's best workforce presentation, December was our truth in taxation. Last meeting we talked about functional phonics, learning from Lincoln. They were having some updated FastBridge assessments done. And so my thinking is, when I see a chart like this that's outlining these proficiencies, and so something I'd like maybe the board to think about was maybe are we able to see FastBridge scores sooner rather than later, rather than waiting till the next world's best workforce? What if our scores don't improve, but what if they're the same? And then also I've heard issues with the MCAs and the NWAs, so if they're not the best way to assess students' achievement, do we need to find a different method? Is FastBridge good enough to be the only one for the younger kids? And then ultimately, how can we make Owatonna Public Schools the best district in Minnesota? And so that's what I've been stewing on after these presentations over the last few months, and just wanted to share that graph. And
And you got this graph from the American Experiment?
correct, yeah, from an article.
I've just got like two quick questions. There's like a cash amount on the side. What's that referencing?
Yep, so that is referencing the green line where it says per pupil spending.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Which has gone up.
Okay. And then this, you might not know this, but like, does the American Experiment is it factoring in people who are opting out of the test and their scores automatically become zero? Because I know that's becoming a more popular thing to do, is opting out of the MCAs.
Well, actually, I was able to clarify that.
Oh, okay,
So
awesome.
MCA testing actually does not count
Factor in
against.
those.
Correct.
Okay, got
There
it.
is a different, the North Star, something like that, where it does,
Okay,
but MCA's does not.
okay, got it.
That's it.
Eric?
This past Wednesday, we had a facilities meeting at the current high school. They're closing out the contracts and doing the final checklists. Carpet was getting put in the auditorium, and punch list completed. The new district office demolition is back in action. They are planning to get this moved from the south end to the north and backfilling in as they go. So we have no opening, holes from the old foundation. And they will finish up circling around to the A&B Plaza later in the year. Still target for move-in to the new district office is for in July. And if there's anything else, I'm sure you can follow it up for me.
That's a pretty good summary. Yes. a couple of the other items that were talked about, just sort of the timeline that as the location on Bridge Street would be vacated, what's the appropriate process? How do we go about that? And there was a conversation about perhaps putting out an RFP to determine how we would go about speaking with the real estate community to sell those properties. But all things considered, yeah, moving the district office into the existing old high school looked to be very much on track.
If I can interject, Mr. Chair, based upon we had some conversations with our attorney around the sale of the Bridge Street property and potentially sale of Rose Street property. We do not have to engage a realtor to that. The district could do just a request for proposal and seek that way. So that's a new item that we'll have to think about moving forward.
It's good to know. Thank you. I did notice that this Friday, there's another coffee with the superintendent, 8:30 over at the school district office. And
Correct.
for any of you that would have time availability and could perhaps be a part of that, that would be wonderful. The only other thing, I do sit on the negotiations committee with the administrators and the teachers reached an agreement this past week, and it follows a process by which the teachers have an opportunity to ratify the result, and to the extent that we'll hopefully hear that that has been the case, and when it is, we'll bring it back to approval here.
Can we get a quick clarification on the date, time, and location of the coffee with the superintendent?
Coffee with the superintendent is this Friday. It's 8:30 in the morning, and it's at the district office.
My turn?
Yep.
You guys want to speak to it, or?
Go for it.
All
Take
right.
it away.
Just briefly then, the policy committee, we met again. We're meeting on quite a routine basis. So this was on the 16th. The minutes are in your packet. You'll see the first reading is what we have in store for you today. A nice summary. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Library materials is your first agenda item, so it's an important topic. Just to clarify again, this is not curriculum. It really is library media, stuff that's stored in our media centers. There's also a form that goes along with that process. And then finally, graduation requirements were just updated based on some of the information we received even at the last meeting. So, anything else, Mr. Elster? I don't know. Or others?
Yeah.
Tim?
No.
Covered it well, thank you.
You bet. And then just anecdotally, I saw our past student rep this last week. Haley Sherston was in town, so that was really nice to connect with her. And she's at Madison, and she's doing great, as you would expect.
Only thing I have to add is last Monday on MLK Day, I volunteered at the poverty simulation with Lincoln staff, and it was fascinating and fantastic as usual. So yeah, it was good.
I didn't do anything cool like that.
You will next time though, because it was pretty cool. Yeah.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Turn things over to Mr. Elstad. Anything to add with regard to the administrative report?
Yeah, just a few items. Over the course of the last week, I have wrapped up the meetings with area legislators regarding some of the concerns and things, and I reported to both of them that with the mandates that came from the 2023 session, we're hopeful that some of those mandates might be reopened for discussion. I'm not certain that the entire impact for the legislative pieces were all considered. We want to make sure that, particularly with the READ Act, because of that legislation, which I think literacy, it's a good program. I just believe it wasn't funded at the level that it needs to be in order to make sure all of our staff are appropriately trained. Likewise, we'll be lifting up some things to you in the near future as a district, considering the amount of time that it will take to train our staff, which is a heavy lift. And by July 1st of 2025, all of our K-3 and special education teachers have to be trained in the district. We cannot get that work done within the current confines of our 24-25 calendar. And so you'll be asked to review a calendar revision in an upcoming meeting. I believe right now I have the February work session. Julie Sullivan, our Director of Teaching and Learning, will be lifting up some of the tenets within that, as well as the proposed PD with that. The other thing with our legislators I lifted up was making sure that they understand the impacts of unemployment, the impacts of earned safe and sick time on school districts, as well as other pieces of legislation, one of which being the K-3 non-exclusionary mandate that was put in place that I think are all worthy of review and worthy of maybe some input from school administrators across the state so that they can understand that. So that has been good discussions and well received by our area legislators. I guess I don't have a whole bunch more other than our schedule with the boundary assignment discussion is continuing forward. Tomorrow night will be our first input meeting, so if you remember the process that was laid out, the design team has been helping to develop some concepts. The input team tomorrow night will be able to review those concepts and provide input and feedback in regard to that. And then there will be a next iteration because all of that input will be taken in addition to an online input tool that we're using to capture feedback from those folks that aren't part of the input team. And again, the input team consists of randomly selected parents and staff members from the elementary buildings that will be able to really provide some rationale as to perhaps the reasonability of those concepts as we try to seek that balance between our elementary buildings moving forward. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Item 9 tonight would be the consent agenda. The quick reminder is that we would be approving the minutes from December 11 and January 8 disbursement, as well as the personnel report. Anybody have any particular reason why we would need to pull an item out? No, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Eric, I'll ask you to do the roll call vote.
Yep. Elizabeth,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Tim. Aye. Jolene,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and I myself is an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 10 tonight, a couple of items that need board action. Item A is the ISD 761 Foundation Board of Directors. And in the bylaws of the 761 Foundation, it stipulates that this board needs to ratify the Board of Directors of the 761 Foundation. And under normal circumstances, there isn't a lot of changeover with regard to the people that serve on that foundation board. There is a new person by the name of Nicole Schultz that was recently added to the Board of Directors. And consequently, your board packet included the 10 or 11, 12 different people that are a part of the 761 Foundation Board. But I would, I'd make the motion that you ratify the slate of Foundation Board of Directors.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Can I answer any questions with
Please.
regard to that? Yeah.
Just curious, so anybody go off the board?
Did anybody?
Yeah.
No, there's been a fairly concerted effort to actually expand the
That's what I
footprint
wondered.
and bring more people on. I don't want to, overly generalize, but there's been a pressing need to bring the average age of that foundation down, and there has been some success
Yeah,
You're
I
doing
see
great.
that.
in that
Yeah,
regard.
yeah.
And some of these younger people are real drivers, and it's great to see.
Well, I know Nicole. Work with her a lot. She'll be a great addition.
Yeah, good.
Yep.
Can I answer any other questions? We've had a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Any opposed? That motion carries. Last item tonight would be to the gifts of the district. Mr. Elstad, anything to add or comment on?
This is an extensive list tonight. We're lifting up to you nearly $200,000 in gifts to the district. A couple that I would call out that are a little bit larger. There will be $50,000 coming from the 761 Foundation. That was part of their commitment for the foundation room, which was the space that was developed at the new high school. Likewise, another $122,701 from the foundation, 761 Foundation, for the mini grants that are awarded every year, and $15,000 from Mayo Clinic Health Systems for their work with Owatonna Career Pathways. So again, just a number of larger gifts, concluding also the Music Boosters of Owatonna purchased a digital piano for orchestra at Washington Elementary. And I would add one sentimental one for me, as we lost one of our paraprofessionals earlier this year, Cindy Voss, and her husband made a donation for a bench in memory of Cindy in the amount of $1,500. So we're grateful for the time that we had with Cindy. She was an extraordinary person, but now we'll be able to remember her as well with a bench that will be near our early childhood programs. So,
Any questions? One of you be kind enough to enter the motion for this, please.
I move that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll ask Eric for the roll call vote again.
Yep. Elizabeth,
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Jolene,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and I myself is an aye, 7-0 pass.
Carries. Thank you very much. Item 11 would be to adjourn. I will entertain that motion that we adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Aye. Any opposed? Good meeting. Thanks, folks.